What's going on? Miguel, host of Life Full Circle Radio, and yep, it's Labor Day, and yes, we're in here because, you know, OGs, we did our cooking out yesterday because we got kids, we got to get up tomorrow, so we're not doing the late night on Monday, we chilling. So it's great football this weekend. I got to tell, and I'll wait till Kia comes on to talk about how Spectrum blew it. I'm fully YouTube TV now because Spectrum decided Disney's so gangster. They sit up there and started their negotiations with all of these cable outlets the weekend college football popped off. Man, I called that doggone cable company so fast it got to go, Jack. Nope, and no. All right, so today we're gonna talk some entertainment stuff, and I've got a great guest coming on today, Booker T. Mattison. He's a director, he's a professor in the film world, and we're gonna talk a little bit about his new film that's coming out this week. Actually, it's called Twisted Marriage Therapist. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about his career and all this going on in entertainment, because right now it's getting to that time of the year where you guys have been ignoring this strike all summer, and now you get ready to start feeling it, because some of this great content y'all love to watch, and these shows you get ready to watch, ain't nobody been writing all summer, and so now you're gonna have a situation where you're gonna have to watch a whole bunch of reruns and things. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Mitch McConnell, who froze up again. Kentucky, y'all got some decisions to make. We're also gonna talk about Erica Mena, and that's gonna be a Kia-led part of the conversation. Y'all know I don't watch reality TV, but it's interesting because I guess she looked like she was black. When they said she was a racist, I was like, she looked like she's black, but then, oh no, she's Dominican and Puerto Rican, I don't know. So anyway, all right, here we go. Super producer.
What's up? So he got to do all his stuff on Sunday night because, you know, tonight's a school night. And he didn't tell me he was having this show. So I'm out here.
I did. Don't even sit up here, check your text. When I told you we had a wonderful guest coming on tonight, you was like, okay. I was like, all right, cool, she good. She was like, hold on, Monday is
not
a
exactly
holiday.
What happened. That's not exactly what happened, but it's close enough. But I'm very happy.
Got receipts, but go ahead.
Cool. I'm very happy to be here because there's so much to talk about, so I'm happy. I actually want to start with the sports, and I don't normally start with the sports.
Yeah.
What FSU did to LSU was just unnecessary. The game was actually here in Orlando at Camping World Stadium.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I knew about it or whatever. And then when I woke up, when I'm doing my regular Twitter scroll, and I was like, oh my God, was that the score?
Yeah,
like,
no, this FSU is a perfect example, along with Colorado. Shout out to Primetime, who went out there to Dallas Fort Worth area and beat TCU, who was in the national championship last year versus Georgia. They lost to Georgia. They got mopped in the national championship, but they were there. Colorado had won one game or two games in the last few years. They sucked. And so Dion goes from Jackson State. He goes out to Colorado, and there are people who are praying for his demise. And his son goes out there, throws over 500 yards, has 4 players with 100 yards receiving, and that's it. So it's ready to get Dion is ready, and I'm actually proud of what he's doing because he's unapologetic. We've been following Dion for the last 35 to 40 years, and now he has taken that style of black man mentoring these young kids. His running back, he's had his hands in this young boy since he was 4 years old. The kid who
that's
was
amazing.
And so people thought, he didn't have, when he went to Jackson State, he has no experience coaching. Y'all ain't paying attention. He's been running his own program in Texas, which is almost like running a college program for years, even while he was still a player.
Didn't he have his own coach?
He had his
Dion,
own program. He had his own school out there. He was killing it in Texas before he got the job at Jackson State.
And it was featured on when he had that reality show back with Pilar years ago. It was
Right.
featured that's what he was doing. They were living in Texas,
Correct.
had some cattle, but the main money was coming from that. But listen, that LSU FSU game was so bad. Apparently, according to my husband in Twitter, it was almost neck and neck at halftime, and then they came out after halftime, and then it went to crap.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up the Dion situation because FSU improved tremendously based on the transfer portal, which is Dion right now. I don't know the stats on FSU because I wasn't paying attention. I'll start paying closer attention, but Dion cut almost his entire team. Like he got some 50 plus new players that were not on the team last year that are now on the Colorado Buffaloes team, including 20 players from Florida. He didn't ship all the way out to Colorado, and they're loving to get out there to play for Dion. So they got something to say. They definitely got something to say.
Cool. So let's hop into our main conversation because I see people are coming into the room, and I know they're not coming in to listen to my sports analysis, which is crap. So let's go ahead and jump into our main topic of the day.
All right. That would be the main topic is, as we mentioned, we're going to get Brother Booker, who's already here. So we're going to get through this some of these early segments so we can get into this real conversation around entertainment, this movie premiering, SAG-AFTRA, Writers Guild, all that type of stuff, because I think we're going to get educated in a lot of
Mitch
things
McConnell.
in that space. But let's get into this conversation around Erica Mena. Let me go ahead and pull that up so that because this is going to be a learning conversation for me. Love and hip hop fans share mixed reaction to Erica Mena's firing over racial slur. Give us the backstory with this. What's going on here?
So the backstory is that Erica Mena was in a scene with Spice, who is a famous Jamaican dance hall artist. She actually has been nominated for a Grammy. She performed on the 50th hip hop anniversary of Busta Rhymes. She's the rapper who pulled her leg up and spun around, and while she was rapping, I don't know if you remember that moment, but
crickets, crazy. But which one? So this is Love and Hip Hop. They usually do by city, right? Is this or is Love and Hip Hop just the main show? Which one is it?
No, so Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She's actually been banned from Love and Hip Hop as in the entire iteration. So what happened was the two women were sitting down in a scene. They were going back and forth, and Spice made a very disparaging comment about Erica Mena, saying, "Your son does not like you." And I'm not going to go into that whole backstory, but your son does not like you. She repeated it and basically said, "My son loves me. Your son doesn't like you." Where Erica Mena proceeded to actually flip the table over on her. They're fighting, they're yelling, production is separating them. Erica is screaming, Spice is screaming. And then Erica took it to a level that it never should have gone. While Erica was outside, she starts screaming into the window, "You're a monkey," at Spice. "You're a blue monkey, you're a monkey." Then she goes to her car, calls her a monkey again, and then makes monkey noises. A lot of people were shocked by this. I was very shocked by this. And a lot of people were like, "No, this is racist." And it was very racist. The monkey noise, call her a monkey, blue monkey. It was just very, very racist to call Spice, a very dark-skinned Jamaican woman, a monkey. Now, what makes this very interesting is that Erica Mena, this is not her first time calling a black person a monkey. This is probably her third time calling a black person a monkey. She has made very racial and disparaging remarks to other cast members. A lot of them behind the scenes where there really wasn't any proof, or a blogger where it's just he said, she said, but this time it was on air. And a lot of people are saying, well, you guys are firing her now. Why did you air it? And I know exactly why they aired it. And if you watch me on YouTube and see my videos, they aired it so she couldn't come out and say, "I decided to leave Love and Hip Hop. We're parting on amicable terms. I had a great time. It was a great life. On to the next chapter as an actress,
Right.
This way, she can't do that. She has to face what she did, get publicly shamed, and publicly fired. So, but my question for you is, people are saying that her saying monkey is not necessarily racist. And they're also saying that, well, they were fighting. There's no rules in fighting when you're mad.
Here's a challenge we have, and I would love to get Booker's thoughts about this. This is the problem you have with unscripted television, right? And so you get in this thing and you guys are stirring up this type of confrontation. That's a part of the love of reality TV. It's reality. What the reality is, Erica Mena uses words like monkey when describing dark-skinned women or dark-skinned people. And you do that stuff off camera, and it's just a rumor. You do that stuff and it's recorded and this is your job, and now you're unemployed. So, it's kind of, and I believe now she was married to, I think it's Safari, which is a rapper and reality show.
Safari Samuels, and you will know him because he was the whack dude that Nicki Minaj was with for many, many years that she left. When we are not moving on, Kevin, you will listen to this segment. Thank you very much.
Girl, keep going.
She actually dated Safari dated Nicki Minaj for multiple years before they broke up, and then now he's on this Love and Hip Hop. He's been in every iteration of Love and Hip Hop.
Because that's his
The
only
reason
talent.
why this is important
is
because Erica Mena is not black. She's a white facing, well, no, she's a little bit brown skinned Hispanic woman, and we've allowed Dominicans and Cubans and Puerto Ricans to get away with saying the N-word and saying racial stuff to us, and it just be, they're part of the culture.
Use it all the time. Fat Joe uses it.
Fat Joe. They're from New York, so it's different in New York. It's different in New York. Yeah. So now she does something that we've allowed her to do for years and years, and now everybody's like, "Oh, it's racist. She should get fired." But we've allowed this girl to say the N-word for years and years. And
well,
she said monkey.
In her community, there's things that we say, there's conversations that we have off air or when you with your family and friends that sometimes we're not proud of. But when it's all said and done, like you said, this woman I think she's Dominican and Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican.
And so I guess she made a huge mistake. And so we're going to see how this kind of plays out and where she's going to land. Because when it's all said and done, this is all she does. And so now you said she's got a few movies. You said a few Tubi movies, a few things.
And we will talk to Mr. Booker when he gets on. She is on the Stepmother series on Tubi, which she started with Marquez Houston. All 3 iterations of the Stepmother.
Isn't he Marquez, not Marquez?
What's his name? Is it Marcus? Are we really both messing up and it's just Marcus?
All right, moving on. All right, so anyway.
Wait, let me say one thing. Yeah. And I want to see if you agree with me.
Yeah.
I would rather be called the N-word than be called a monkey, a Sambo, or a bedwench. That's just me. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, those are all. Well, first of all, nobody would call me a bad wench, obviously.
Well, no, but a boy. Like if someone called you a boy.
Yeah, no, none of that stuff is acceptable. But you know, sometimes when I'm hanging out with my boys and we get to, you know, the N-word would just slip out because that's how, you know, we grown black men, but that's colloquial. But monkey, ain't nothing funny about monkey. Ain't nothing funny about boy. All that stuff has a different connotation. So she's gonna pay the price for this, and so she's gonna have to find something else to do. Hopefully, she gets saved up a lot of her money because she's in trouble. All right, let's move on. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, who is the Republican senator from Kentucky, 2 times in the last month, this has happened with Mitch McConnell.
Oh, bless his baby's heart.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Oh my God.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator.
Yeah.
So, Mitch McConnell's been a huge thorn in the side of America for a while. Now, people always say, well, how does Mitch McConnell keep getting reelected? Have you ever been to Kentucky? Right? There's Louisville and you know, a little bit around the university, but for the most part, it's hard to get him out of office. Hopefully this is enough that they will say, okay, Mitch, it's time to retire. This is the second time in the last month. He's frozen up in public. This was the woman, and this was a Chamber of Commerce event. Looked like it was in Kentucky.
It was.
And you know, we start talking about ageism and all of that, and you know, you got Mitch McConnell, and you got Joe Biden, and you got Trump, and you got
Dianne
Feinstein in California. It's time. Just, you know, let it go, man. Go retire. Enjoy those days. There's somebody else y'all should have been training up this whole time, because we had some of the same situation. With John Lewis and some of our senior folks on the left. You got to start training up this next generation to get in and get into the fight. Absolutely. You know, and so this is a sad thing. It's a sad day to look and see this man in public being embarrassing himself the way that he did. So I don't know.
And let me tell you, term limits should be a bipartisan issue. Like Miguel said, like there's people on the left and the right who have all gotten so old where I know it sounds ageist, but they're not functioning properly. And 80 plus, you shouldn't be functioning properly. You should be sitting in somebody's nursing home or your huge estate with your family, your grandkids, and your nurses, and your little dogs doing what old people do. You know, being visited by family, and worst case scenario, you should be doing drive-by appearances where you go to the state fair and you wave and you shake people's hands and you go home. I mean, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be a part of government and legislation. And the crazy thing is, the woman next to him was like, "Did you? Well, no, we gotta go." What do you mean you gotta go? Y'all should have been took him off somewhere. He should not be there. He's old. Like, I'm
He
sorry.
is old. He is. There's no other way. There's no other way to describe it. He is old. And if you guys had any doubt that you're trying to claim to support him up to this point, and you didn't see what we just saw, Mitch McConnell, it's time to go sit down. Find some other racist white dude so they can get your spot.
And White House doctors cleared him. And I made this joke before the show. What doctor cleared him? Dr. Seuss, Dr. Dre, or Dr. McStuffins? Because it couldn't have been anybody with a real medical degree who could say, "Oh no, he's fine. He just froze up for no reason." What?
No.
And what did you clear him with? Did you just check his heart rate? Did you just check his pulse?
His heart could be fine. It looked like he's probably beating at a very slow rate. You know, his heart is probably going super slow. So anyway, you know, we don't want to joke about people's health. What we're talking about at this point is that it is time. It is time. Kevin says, let's see. Go ahead. Second oldest Congress ever. I don't support Nikki Haley, but agree with her that these folks, included Dianne Feinstein, need to move aside. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, Dianne Feinstein, you know, wasn't even in her seat for, you know, critical votes are coming down the pike, and she cannot even sit in her seat to vote. It's time to let it go. Dianne Feinstein is, I believe, 90 years old.
She's 90 years old.
She's 90 years old. Like, what else do you want, sis? Go home. We love you. We appreciate your service. Enjoy those last days.
You shouldn't be driving, let alone driving America. Like, it's not how it's supposed to work.
All right, so we're gonna get back. We're gonna come back. We got some other stuff we want to talk about. There was some situation where a woman got hit by a brick, and we're gonna talk about that because there's a backstory to that. At least some of the stuff we're getting to. But I don't want to hold up my man's too much longer because I called, he answered because I saw that he's got a new movie coming out, and I said, okay, I want to talk to him about this movie. I want to talk to him about some other things that are going on in the business. And so he answered the call. We appreciate the brother answering the call. So without further ado, let me bring in my guy. Go away, screen, go away when you're trying to promote this stuff. All right, where we got? Hey, publish. There we go. That's what I want. My man Booker T. Mattison, what's up, Playboy? How you doing?
Behold, my brother, how are you? Always happy to be on your show. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I didn't remind Kia that this is a fellow Spartan right here. You know, she always in Rattlers, man. They set up. That's right.
He's always tricky. Right. No, he always no. He remembered. He just didn't want to tell me because he knew I'd be annoyed, and I'd literally take these headphones off and go get the rest of my bottle of wine.
Of course, that is what them Rattlers like to say, because them Rattlers like to always be about them. But so anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. But in addition to being a fellow Spartan, are you still a professor at UGA?
I am. Go Dogs.
Yeah. Go Dogs. Got it. And you're teaching film over there. Talk to us a little bit about what you're doing over there at UGA right now, because of course you're touching the youth that are coming up into this game.
Yeah, I teach directing and screenwriting at UGA in the Department of Entertainment and Media Studies, which is in the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication. Mm-hmm. I've been there. I guess this is my seventh year.
You've been there 7 years?
Nice.
This is my seventh. When you first came this way. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what prompted the move here, was the professorship at UGA, as well as the film and television industry here. So it was a great transition, and one that I've sufficiently enjoyed, and I love living in Metro Atlanta.
Yeah, so we've talked offline, and we've had conversations. The last time you were on the show, you had the movie that came out with Neo. I think that was late last year. And Key, I think we pre-recorded that. I don't think you were on the show when I interviewed you.
No, meeting Kia, so happy to be on with you as well.
Yeah. So the super producer. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. Of course, we're going to talk about this movie before we get up out of here. But there's a lot going on in the entertainment space right now, and I'm curious about you as a professor, you teaching the next generation of entertainment professionals. But you've got the SAG-AFTRA stuff going on. You've been a director. You're a writer. First of all, what is your take on what is going on in LA right now with the writer strike?
It's a challenge because there's so many people who are not working, and
Mm-hmm.
even beyond the not working, the fact that people would choose to not work is the surest indication that the proposals that are being made aren't sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Hence a strike, not just in film and television, but in the industry. When you strike, you're going to be giving up some things, but you know we're at a time in the industry where there's so many changes
Mm-hmm.
that are happening. In particular with streaming and with the residuals that writers and the directors, they did strike a deal, but the
Mm-hmm.
writers and the actors, the math is different than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Since the advent of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So, what most people don't realize, and I didn't realize this until I went to film school. After graduating Norfolk State, I went to NYU for film school, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I got to New York that I realized that they were actors who you see them in shows and TV shows and in movies, but they're on that film or that TV show, and then they're on unemployment.
That's right.
Right. I didn't realize that. I thought that all actors were rich, especially,
Yeah.
oh, I know him or her. And it's like, well, wait
Yeah.
a minute. You have been on set for 2 days for that movie, and you love that movie, and the movie gets all these runs, but they had 2 set days, you
Mm.
know, which, if you're making, minimum the scale, 2 set days is not going to pay your mortgage, especially if you live in LA or New York. So I think that the public is now finally starting to understand that this is not like, whenever it's the NFL striking, like, oh, millionaires are striking against billionaires. It's not that at all. The overwhelming majority of actors in particular are don't even make enough to qualify for their health
For the
insurance.
health insurance, that's
Yeah, I
absolutely
think
insane.
that's and I hate to say that this is the best part of the strike. There's no best part, but having the layperson finally understand that part, and I feel bad for actors having to explain, like, yo, yeah, we make this money on this film, but they don't pay us for the rental house that we have to rent. They don't pay us for the back and forth with cars or rentals or breaking this lease or whatever, and us having to keep hustling. I think that's good information to know because that helps the layperson, the public, be on their side more. To be like,
No.
no, you guys really shouldn't be doing this to them. It doesn't make any sense, especially, and then again with streaming. Actors should still be getting paid for streaming. Just because you
Yeah.
dump it on Peacock,
Yeah.
people are still watching it over and over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that part.
No,
Yeah.
that's real. And Book, I want to give you the opportunity to respond to that because a couple things that you said, people just assume, like you said, that if someone goes on set for 1 or 2 days, you guys are per day or per week, just like some people who are doing any other job. It looks like it's
Mhm.
this old glamorous type of deal, but it's a deal. And I had this conversation with Laz Alonso maybe 10 years ago, and he really opened my eyes up to just that. But talk to us a little bit more, if you can elaborate a little bit more about how that business works. Whereas actors are just paid for the day, and a lot of them, most of them are not getting residuals. They're not getting those. They'll see themselves on TV for the next 40 years and say, I was in that movie, but I'm not getting a dime from it now.
Right. And here's and I'll get to that, but this makes me think of a headline that came out not long ago that the creator of Squid Game,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Netflix made over $900 million from that show.
Yes.
That was one of those shows that breaks through and everyone is talking about it.
Yep.
Hmm.
And the creator gets no royalties, and he does not get and Netflix bought that IP outright, intellectual property outright. So he's not seeing any of that. So it's yes, it's the actors, but it's also the writers too,
Yeah.
because if a streamer or a studio, if they buy your IP outright, it's not like you're like, hey, I still own this. And like me as an author, for example, this is something that I go over in class with my students. I've written 2 novels.
Hmm.
So I own the copyright to the novel. But if, say, Warner Brothers or Netflix or Hulu, if they buy the film or television rights, yes, they'll give me a check, but the film and the television show, they own that. Yes, I still control the copyright, but when the movie goes off or the television show goes off and makes all this money, I got my
Yeah.
check. So it's the economics are very different than if you're working, 9 to 5, and then you
Yeah.
have retirement, and your employer is matching that. It's just
Yeah.
a different
Well,
economic
who
system.
negotiates in that scenario? You're a screenwriter. I watched Hidden Figures the other night with my kids, and Margot Lee, I forget her married name, but we went to high school together. Hidden Figures was based in Hampton, Virginia. And I'm so proud of anything that's connected to anything that I'm connected to. I don't care if it's Hampton or Jacksonville or Norfolk State or FAMU because of the sister here. I'm always celebrating black people. But who negotiates? If you have a book and you go and Netflix wants to buy it, who negotiates to make sure that you get a fair deal?
Well, that depends. It depends on if you have an agent, and not everyone has an agent because agents represent people who they feel can make them money. If you don't have an agent, it could be your entertainment attorney. If you have an entertainment attorney, because they're going to take a percentage of whatever they negotiate. And in some instances, you negotiate it yourself. And here's the other part. When you have a business where there are more people than there are jobs, and there are people who are always trying to get on, there are always going to be people in place who can do the work. That's why, scab work, the unions have to have in place that if you engage in scab work, meaning, the Writers Guild or SAG, if you're going to cross those picket lines and actually work, you can never get into those unions. If you're non-union, you can never get into those unions. And the reason why that's so rigid, you may say, well, why is that such a big deal? Well, because one, that weakens the effectiveness of the strike, because the idea is that I'm not going to give you my services if you're not going to compensate me fairly.
Right.
So, but yet you have people who, without the fear of never joining the union, they would do that scab work. Why? Because they want to get on.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
The small check. They'll rather take the small check for their gift than to have no check at all.
Go ahead, Kid.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a quick question. So a lot of people are confused right now with the SAG-AFTRA strike because some films are allowed to be promoted and people can go do them and others cannot. So can you explain the difference between like the big network we're angry with and the smaller kind of network that we're cool with? Like, how is that working so that some actors are working and doing other stuff?
Absolutely. So you have movies, television shows. Whenever the network, the studio, the streamer is a what's called a guild signatory, right? That means that these are union film or television productions. So if the company that you work for that is making that film or TV show is a guild signatory, then that is a union production. Okay, so the union production, no, there's nothing doing right now. But if you are an independent production, if the three of us raise $100,000, to make my script that I adapted from my novel Snitch and make that a movie, then we could get an exception. Why? Because we are an independent production. We're not Netflix. We're not Warner Brothers, right? We raised $100,000 to get this movie made, so they're going to allow us to use SAG actors because we are truly independent. Now, of course, once we make the movie, we still have to get it distributed. So at a certain point, we are going to have to deal with these guild signatories. But to get the actual movie made, they'll give a carve out for us because one, there's no guarantee that we're ever going to get the thing distributed, and two, we are not a guild signatory. We're an independent production.
That's amazing that because when you think about that, people ask like, how is it that a Tyler Perry, for example, is still making all this content? And then I've also heard or I've seen movies that have been promoted that are saying, and I may be messing up the term, SAG exception, or this has been approved by, and some of that. Kind of give us a little bit of an education on what is going on right now, because when it's all said and done, people are about to be pissed because their favorite TV shows have not been shooting. There's nobody writing for this stuff. We're normally used to getting new content come late September, early October, and that ain't about to happen this year.
Right. And that's when it becomes real and that's with any issue, right? Whenever it touches you directly, now miraculously I'm in tune with it. I'll do the research to figure out, kind of carving out my position on where I stand on it.
Right.
So it hasn't really touched, the people outside of the business yet, but to your point, it absolutely will. And that's whenever people will say, hey, wait a minute, where's my content? And I saw a headline not long ago that the public is supporting, the writers and the actors, and I think that's, and even, the producers union, they came out with they hired a PR firm, right? Which lets you know something. It's like you have to hire a PR firm, right?
Of course.
Because the narrative is such, you have people, these executives who are making $29, million a year coming out saying they can't afford. Oh yeah, you can't afford. They can't afford to pay, an actor a living wage, but
Right.
yet you're making, $29 million.
It's ridiculous. It's I hate greed. I just despise greed. We see this situation where there's so much money being made that if you're making 29 million, you can cut out 2 or 3 million and make sure the people that helped you get that product together, or whatever the number may be, there's going to be a fair compensation. There's a question in the chat, and it's part of what I wanted to talk about. Matter of fact, let me just put it up on the screen. Kevin says, for Booker, can you explain the potential impacts from artificial intelligence on the industry? Not sure I really understand. When I heard that an actor can go on a set for a day, their face can be captured, voice can be captured, and in perpetuity, those studios can use their name, their faces and their voices forever, and they not give them a dime. I said, in what world is that okay?
Right.
It's creepy.
And that's not something that could happen down the line, technologically speaking. It's something that could actually happen now. So you figured, okay, let's just bring it down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
So, any of the three of us can be a background actor in any of these movies or TV shows when they're shooting, of course. So that's legitimate work, right?
Right.
That's legitimate work. You're making $85, $100 a day, So that's something that you can do because, so every shoot, like, whenever I do a film, if you have extras, that's a part of the budget, and you have to pay those. People are like, yo, put me in a movie, dog. That's not free work. So that's a part of the budget, and a significant part of the budget, because, the numbers you have are limited. Okay, we have 50 actors when we have 50 extras for the entire show. So now you have to figure out how you're going to divvy them up so you can't have these big parties, etc.
Right.
So that's legit work that would largely go away and that was part of the initial proposal that was rejected, thankfully, where it's like, okay, once I got you once, and again, you have people who are so desperate to get on, to be in the movie, willing to say, okay, give me my $100, and you can use my face. At least somebody's going to be seeing me. Maybe that'll lead to other work, right? But imagine that you essentially sold your likeness, in perpetuity, which means now that's going to be either a smaller part of the budget or no part of the budget at all, which saves money. Right, because that's one less thing that you have to pay for. Because now I can use this person's likeness in perpetuity, change the outfit they have on, change how they move, etc.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Go ahead, Kia.
And the only person I've heard of them doing in perpetuity with their voice and likeness lately is James Earl Jones. He sold his didn't he? I don't know if he sold it, but it sounded like he sold his voice and likeness for Darth Vader because he was like, I'm too old to be doing this. I'm not messing with y'all. I feel like he's the first person I've heard.
And that probably makes sense because he's 90+ years old. Nobody wants to hear anybody else doing Darth Vader besides the voice of James Earl Jones.
Or Mufasa.
I would say give them the option.
Yeah, that's different, because that's just like whenever a musician sells their catalog.
Correct.
You're selling the catalog. You're not saying that they can now take your voice and make whatever songs they want to make with that catalog. But he got a check. I'd love to know what that check was. I'm sure it was nice.
Yeah.
Right. Which is different than selling your voice, and now they can use that voice or your image to make movies in perpetuity or to make songs in perpetuity.
Right. And there's a perfect example. Jason Weaver, who was the voice of Simba in the old Lion King, the original Lion King movie when he was a child. He's still a working actor. He's in The Chi right now, and he's been in several movies, ATL and some others. So I'm not messing with you, kid.
I be forgetting on the screen. I'm so sorry. Yes, he's working.
But the story is that when he was a child, they wanted to cut him a check, and his mom said no. We want royalties, and so the check on the front end was smaller, but he's getting paid on that movie for 30 years, right? And he thanks his mother for that. I would not have. Well,
is the same thing Juanita Jordan did for Michael Jordan. For every, I think he gets 25 cents or 75 cents for every shoe sold from the time he signed the deal to now, which is a massive amount of money.
Right? My thing is, give these actors and writers. My thing is, anybody that touches that project, and I'm on the outside looking in, because I also know that there's people that I have a friend of mine who I should remain nameless for this conversation, but she's an actress turned director. And so she says, well, Miguel, I'm kind of on both sides of the conversation, right? We kind of don't want to give up too many pieces of it, but I'm also a writer who's on the other side. But stop being greedy. When it's all said and done, if you're making $29 million and you set aside $5 million to take care of the 1,000 people that made that movie, or in perpetuity you give, the main actor 3%, 5%, whatever the number may be, and I'm not in those conversations, those numbers may already exist. Why not? Because when it's all said and done, when a movie comes out, the reason why we see Kevin Hart all over the place when his projects hit the streets is that the main salesperson for a movie is the primary actor.
The actors.
Yeah. Look, Kev is good. I can say that. Kev is good because once you're at that level, you have the most high-powered agent, you have the most high-powered entertainment attorney, you have the most high-powered manager. So they're negotiating the best terms, and you have the leverage to get the best terms. So Kevin is good, and I'm not saying that Kevin doesn't have a stake in this. He obviously does. But the overwhelming majority, most of the actors aren't making Kevin Hart money.
Of course
or
not.
Leonardo.
Right.
They're the ones on a project and they're on unemployment once that project wraps.
What is the best solution that you would like to see, that you think would be the best solution for what is going on right now, so this entertainment can get back spinning?
A fair deal, and a fair deal meaning, it's difficult to put the streaming genie back in that bottle because everyone has gone hard in that direction.
Right.
With streaming, the numbers are kept secret, so you don't know really how many spins you're getting. It's even like Spotify. When you look at the amount of money that these recording artists are getting for Spotify, and look, even before that, whenever I was an author, that was right whenever Amazon, because I haven't published a novel in many years, but that's right whenever Amazon was starting to take over. And it used to be authors would get backlist, meaning, your old books, people would buy them and you still get royalties. But once Amazon came out, me, could go and buy a used book. The author gets none of that, right? So that was a revenue stream, backlist, gone. So yes, we all love technology, and I'm not anti-technology. I use technology in everything I do.
Absolutely.
But the streaming, because the 800-pound gorilla in the room is the Netflix, is Apple, and these are companies that content is a one small part of what they do. It's not even the main thing that they make money on. So they one, have the money, and two, they can play hardball. That's different than Warner. Warner Brothers is in the business of making films. They're in the business of making television shows. And Barry Diller made a comment last week that the traditional studios need to cut a deal with the actors and the writers and leave the streamers to themselves. I don't know how realistic that is, but that is a potential solution.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That you mentioned that, and I want to get to your movie here next. But it's funny that you say that, because Time Warner, and now it's Max. They're not as successful as the Netflixes of the world, and to your point, is because they're also in the content business. So it's kind of like they got two sides of their business. Netflix is it's almost like, back in the day when, Facebook was not in the business of making any original content. They did that for a little while, and now they're cutting all their stuff out too, because really they're in the business of taking other people's stuff and making a ton of money off other people's stuff. We don't want to invest in it. Why should we, right? Why not take the other content and keep it moving? So that's interesting that's part of the conversation. Let's talk about your film. We're gonna play the trailer here, and I want to talk about Tubi, because you're on Tubi. And here's the thing: let's just keep it real. We brothers, right? Everybody been clowning Tubi, and you got all these crazy promos where people shooting bullets around trees and all this. Here's the funny thing: when I found out that you were on Tubi, I said, let me download this app. And I downloaded my Apple TV. I said, oh, well, Color Purple, and there's a lot of movies that are here that I actually was looking for that I couldn't find, that are there.
But it's the original content that trends on Twitter at least once a week, because one movie drops and everybody's like, did you go watch this? But before we watch the trailer, and I'll ask my question.
Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So I watched the trailer. Sir, did you have a bad marriage therapy experience, and this is why we're watching this? Because this is very
Hey, Booker, set up the trailer for us. Set it up for us and let us know what the movie is and what we're doing here.
It's Twisted Marriage Therapist. It's the story of a celebrity marriage counselor who gets the husband of a couple she's counseling committed so she can steal his wife.
I had to read that headline a couple times. I said, so this is, All right, let me go ahead and cue this up because I want you guys to check out this trailer. All right, here we go.
It's a lot.
Welcome to this Yo session. I'm Dr. Yolanda Carver, but you all can call me Dr. Yo. It's time for your relationships to grow. I want to give away my relationship services to one lucky couple. This is something new. Some would even say unorthodox. It's my job to help you get better. I can get you a prescription. Are you okay? You've noticed strange things, haven't you?
Thought I seen somebody outside. There ain't nobody out here.
Get comfortable. Feel the texture of her body. Like this.
I don't want to do counseling no more. Sorry.
You chose the difficult path. What she just did to you, she used to do to me.
That boy be what?
Dr. Yo trying to set me up.
Do you love me? You're an emotional predator. So are y'all ready to start restoring these relationships?
Man,
Who
the
hurt you,
trailer-
Booker? Who hurt you? Who hurt you, Booker? Just tell us. It's okay. We're in a safe space.
The trailer's amazing, brother. I love it.
Thank you. It's wild, and look, I've told people that it's quite the departure from The Sound of Christmas, which was a family-friendly Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It actually did very well, but and people will often ask me, well, what type of stories do I tell? And I say good ones. So I don't have a particular genre that I favor, and what makes me excited about Twisted Marriage Therapist is because it is so different than The Sound of Christmas. And it showcases my ability to both write and direct pretty much anything, which is, it's one thing to say that because everyone talks, but it's another thing to be able to show it, with these two very different movies.
No, I think the trailer is very exciting. I think the movie is going to be dynamite. And the thing about it, as I mentioned, I think films like this are going to raise the respectability of the Tubi platform. And I believe there's a lot of independent filmmakers that are getting opportunities on Tubi, which are important.
We have to raise the respectability of Tubi because the Stepmother 1, 2, and 3 ain't gonna do it. So we need more Bookers in the world. I mean, have you consumed any other Tubi content to know what I'm talking about?
I
Any
have
other Tubi
not.
movies?
I have not. I have Booker.
I'm in Booker.
Go ahead, Booker.
Here's the thing with Tubi. What people don't realize is that Tubi has over 50,000 titles from all of the network, all of the studios, 64 million monthly active users. And here's this talking about, again, how deals are structured. So you have content, like I use that example of us raising 100 grand and making a movie. We could then license that movie to Tubi. So you have, movies and TV shows for the actors that you recognize that are on there. But then you also have these independent productions that are licensed. And then you also have the third thing is the Tubi original movie, which is what I did. So this is the content was created by Tubi. It wasn't us going out independently making it. So it's not unlike BET Plus. That was The Sound of Christmas was a BET Plus original movie.
Yep.
And that's what streamers use to do what? Generate viewers. Apple Plus does the same thing. Amazon does the same thing. So there's three distinct categories of what you'll find on there. So, yes, you do have a lot of things on there. Like, and I saw that it was hilarious. The bullet going around the tree. That was funny. Right. But you know what I'm liking it too? It's like, remember Blockbuster back in the day? In Blockbuster, you had, the big budget movies and the TV shows, had those independent things. So there's no Blockbuster now. So now the independent people are on Tubi or Amazon. Amazon, same thing. People, oh, my movie's on Amazon. And you're thinking, oh, is that an Amazon original movie with a whole bunch of money and big name actors? No. This person did it independently and licensed it to Amazon. So, the Tubis and the Amazons of the world are now serving the same role that Blockbuster served back in our day when we were younger.
Well, I'm proud of you, brother. It looks like it's getting it done, and you're out there teaching the kids. Go ahead, Kia.
I have one more question since apparently he's doing that his wrap up voice. I always do the wrap up voice. So before we wrap it up,
Booker,
I had one fun question.
Booker, we've been together doing this show for like almost 15 years, so she knows me good as my wife. But go ahead.
Wrap up voice.
Yeah.
So we always ask our guests a fun question. So since you're a director, I have to ask you a unique fun question. And since I'm not allowed to ask the sex scene question, I'm gonna ask the other question, and that is, who has the most iconic?
Yeah, you can ask the sex scene question. I'm good with.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're not ready. Who has the most iconic?
I'm always
voice?
ready. You don't got to answer, but I'm always ready.
Go ahead.
Who has the most iconic acting voice? Is it Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones? Who's more iconic?
Wow, I'm gonna go with James Earl Jones, and here's why. Because I think that Morgan has played God a lot. Yeah, you know what? You know what that is? You know what it is? Look, and this is not a cop out. You know, you can tie games in the NFL. They're very rare.
Yeah.
But you can have tie games in the NFL. I have to say it's a tie because I was about to say, the Darth Vader, and then I'm like, but wait a minute, Morgan is the voice of God.
Yeah.
That's a tie. That's a toss up. I can't choose one. I can't choose one on that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just between Darth Vader.
I choose Morgan Freeman.
I choose James Earl Jones. Between Darth Vader and Coming to America, let them wait. I'm sorry. I
did a recording session with him too, which was amazing. But I know we were out of time, so we won't get into that. But
But let me tell you, I get why Miguel chose James Earl Jones, because he was so good as Mufasa. When they remade the movie, they were like, we're not redoing his voice. He old, he laying down. That's okay. Just put a mic in front of his mouth and we'll just do it that way.
Right. No,
this is CNN. Remember that back in the 80s?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was James Earl Jones. Yes, that was James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones
But
is
then
90 years old.
Morgan Freeman.
And then it's so funny when you go back and watch some old films when James Earl Jones was still a younger man. He was considered a bit of a sex symbol. And what was the movie? Was it
gorgeous?
What was the movie? Was it Claudine? What was the movie? I don't think. No, I think that's a TV show. Was it a movie? It was Claudine, right? You're the film guy. And he was the man that Claudine wanted to be involved with, and the social worker. He had to hide in the closet because you can't be seen with a man in the house when you got 5 kids. You getting welfare, social services, whatever. But I'm with you there. What was your other question, Kia? Before we got Booker, we still got Booker's attention.
I just look how fine this man was. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this.
And look, his dad, Robert Earl Jones, also an actor. They looked like twins when they were
really. See, I don't know. There's been some documentaries I've caught up on, and CNN has done a great job. If you guys go back and do some streaming, CNN did a series about 4 or 5 weeks of, I forgot what they call it, some about Black's entertainment, but it showed the history of the Black sitcoms, history of Black comedy, and then that was in. I have to find it and I'll put it in the chat. But there's some great content out there right now. And there's another film that was on. I think it's called Am I Black Enough? And I'll find that too. This is part of our last segments. We always talk about what we're watching, so that's one of the things we're watching.
CNN is bringing out the Little Richard documentary with my homegirl Lisa Cortez.
That's airing tonight, actually. I think it's airing tonight.
That's airing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then something else me and Miguel are super, super hype about, and that is the Bob Marley documentary
not even it's a feature film,
on that.
It's a live action.
It looks amazing.
The trailer looks amazing. It really does.
I saw the trailer for that too. Yeah.
We had that conversation a while back. Here we go. I got you, Booker, so I'm gonna try. We had this conversation. Did we have this conversation on the show when I talked about who was the most influential family in Black culture and music, and we had a dialogue between the Jacksons or the Marleys? Did we have a conversation on the show?
You or you and him? Who are you talking to?
No,
me
I'm
or
talking
you?
to you, Kia. Did we have a conversation on there?
That's a tough question.
We did.
I think we had. So we had the question. Here's my argument, Booker. Okay, Michael is Michael, obviously. Michael is Michael, no doubt. Janet is Janet, no doubt. But right now, you can go anywhere in the world and hear not only Bob, but a whole array of Marleys. There's a whole Sirius XM channel that has been on the air, has been playing nothing but 80-90% Marley music and all their family for years and years.
This was your side when we originally argued about this. Your original side was the Jacksons, but now since your friend on here, you
No. I can find that clip. I was one who brought it up because it was because of the Marleys. Michael is iconic. Is no touching Michael as an individual, but Bob is a close second as far as impact. Because I was talking about impact, not just music, but also culturally, locks, weed smoke, Rastafarian religion, the whole nine. What's your thoughts?
I got to go with the Jacksons because, and I know this kind of harkens back to the whole hip hop argument. Well, it's not about album sales. Mm-hmm. But, if you're talking about just records sold, it's not even close. You know, if you're talking about, because Michael Jackson, forget about it.
Right.
But you go in Janet's catalog too, you know, and then Reby and them had some stuff.
I don't count Centipede. I don't.
But then the Jacksons, the Jackson 5, I gotta go with the Jacksons. Also, they were so good for so long.
But
you know what I'm
Marleys
saying?
Is still going. That's part of my argument. Marley's Bob been getting going since '81.
Right. But Michael Jackson is still a cultural icon.
Yeah.
And
it's
Bob is too, but not on the level of Michael Jackson. Not on the level, not now.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
He's still iconic. But Michael Jackson, I mean, you got 5 and 6 year olds who doing Michael Jackson dances on the internet with the gloves. You know, and they little kids, they weren't even alive, you know, when he was you know, living. I gotta go with this one.
I take that, man. I appreciate you, Book, for coming on to the show, man. We're gonna check out the premiere. The premiere of the movie is on Thursday on Tubi. Make sure you download it. Tubi is free 99, and you can download it on all your platforms. At the Apple, I got Apple TVs in the house. It's on. So we'll check it out on Thursday, brother. We appreciate you, man. Thanks a bunch for coming on, making time.
I hope to talk to y'all again soon.
Have a good night.
All right, take care.
All right, good night.
All right. Great conversation. Come on. Don't get the spinning thing on me. My little spinning Apple thing.
I know. Are we buffering?
Of course, right?
Are we pulling a Mitch McConnell?
We pulling a Mitch McConnell. You did wrong. All right. So
That's what we're calling it.
as we over here spinning, of course, right now as this is happening. So anyway, we'll see if this works itself out. But great conversation, man. Booker brought the smoke. You brought a lot of knowledge and helped us out a whole ton in this conversation, without question.
No, yeah, I loved his feedback about the strikes, what it means, what the intention of it is, and all that. And again, we've talked about this before on the show, and we on Life Full Circle Radio and a lot of our listeners, and even lay people now, we agree with them. At first, people really were wealthy actors and actresses. Why should we care about them? We over here struggling. And then when the actors came out and said, when I'm not on the film, I'm bartending. When I'm not on the film, I'm a cater waiter. When I'm not out on the film, I'm like the most famous person he's the black bald guy. I can't think of his name right now. I feel so bad. But he was exactly
in. What you're talking about. He was in.
He's been in multiple stuff. He was in
projects.
The Night Agent.
Yes,
and everything.
I know exactly he's
the main one saying, "Yo, y'all see me in a bunch of stuff, but I'm hustling from job to job to job because I have stuff to pay for."
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And he's been in a lot of famous stuff. So.
There's another story out there with him that supposedly he's got a doppelganger that did a lot of acting that looks exactly like him and passed away years ago. And I don't know if that was an internet thing or not. I have to try to find that part of the story too. But before we get out of here, a couple more stories.
We got a whole list of what? We got a what? Everybody with the what of life. What was the stuff on your what list? Because I got two.
Let me set my what up here. Where we at? Let's see. Here we go.
Subscribe to the Neighborhood Talk, and my life has changed forever.
What is the Neighborhood Talk? What is the Neighborhood Talk?
It's on Instagram. It's the most ghetto trashy of anything happening, everything happening. And it's I've been cooked all day. My mom was talking to me and I'm smooth scrolling. I'm like, mom. She could have threw a shoe at me to get my attention. I wouldn't have noticed. Like, that's how deep I've been into. So Blanche. What's your what?
No, I don't have a what. You go ahead. I'm gonna keep up because I want to talk about Diddy before we get out of here.
Okay. So I'm going to start with this first what, and I'm just going to hold my phone up to the screen because
I do have a what. Actually, I do have a what.
Okay, so
what am I looking at?
This is what I'm holding up. This is a video of
a reveal plane. Party turns deadly. Okay.
So I won't show the video. It's crazy. But what happened is that a pilot was doing a gender reveal. You know, he flies over, he drops the smoke of the color of the gender. People do this a lot. In this case, in Mexico City, he was flying over, he lost control of his plane, it crashed, and he died after he released the powder. And listen, y'all gotta stop doing these big gender reveal parties trying to outdo everybody else. And I gotta get a plane, I gotta get a helicopter, I gotta get a stunt man to jump out of a truck and smoke explodes behind him. It's getting ridiculous, guys. Like, for me, I just did poppers at my house. Now, we accidentally did it where we had a roof in our pool area and it bounced down and almost, blinded my mother-in-law, but it was fine. You watch that didn't you? And
I
she
think I
she ran by the
did.
camera.
I
And
think I
everybody
did. Yeah.
But I just think like these gender reveals are getting dangerous, and they've been like, remember another one that happened in New Mexico where they started the New Mexico wildfire and they charged those parents when they exploded something and caused
then
a
Zion
giant
Williamson
wildfire.
does a gender reveal with his baby mama, and then his mistress blew up the internet for weeks because she was mad. So y'all got to keep this stuff on
But
the
that's
low. What's
safe.
the point?
That's safe. Nobody died. You were embarrassed, but nobody died. That's fine.
All
It's
right.
on you, sir. It's on you.
Yeah. So my hot word of the week is, I don't know if you guys caught wind of this. There's a woman out in Houston, Texas, who got hit in the face with a brick, supposedly because she did not give a man her phone number. I got all the, that's where the conversation started, but as we know, that never is where the conversation ends, because there's always some more to the story. So supposedly, this woman, it goes out and she makes these videos. Matter of fact, let me just here's one of the videos.
Let's see the video. Let's see the videos.
Here's one of the videos. Let me see. Boom. And so this is supposedly she was faking, right? So she supposedly went up to this man. So she does these type of fake videos with people, and evidently this is what happened when supposedly, now I'm not saying this is what happened in this situation. She said she simply would, a man asked her for a phone number, and she said no, and supposedly he hit her with a brick. No, ain't no supposed, looked like she got hit with a brick, but supposedly
She hit with a brick.
Yeah. But the supposed part is why it happened. Now, not condoning it, obviously, this is not something that needs to happen. But this is a video that she put out. Let me see if this is the one. Yeah, this is the version that I.
Another black woman, because we are the innate protectors and the providers. We protect societies, we protect communities with our intellectual property, with our lived experiences, with our breast milk, with our bodies. We're the ones and the two. Bitch, not even the three. Because men are not providers and protectors, not innately, because they only protect what they possess. But we protect everybody, and we provide, baby, okay? So I hope you catch a girl tonight, because I hope I do. Ew. And don't forget, before there was feminism, it was lesbians who were living those lives without worried about niggas. Like, they were not worried about niggas. They were de-centering men. So before there was feminism, there were lesbians. Hey, excuse me, thank you. Happy Pride. I hope every black woman is kissing another black.
So I have another issue, and I'm sorry to anybody who's watching. Is this woman a straight woman, excuse me, a natural born woman who is a lesbian, or is this a trans woman? Because this is giving trans woman vibes 100%, which makes me think, this makes it a hate crime now for hitting her with a brick. This is a trans woman who the guy asked for her phone number. She went into her whole spiel, and her whole spiel because she, popping off, whatever, and he hit her with the brick, which makes it a hate crime automatically. But that's the vibe she just gave me. Well, did you get that vibe, or is it just me? Is my radar too
at this point, I've been married for a long time, so I'm not out in these streets. From her body, it looks like her body looks natural to me, but I could be wrong, right?
You're wrong.
Okay. I could be. I'm not out in these streets like that. But the point is that her conversation around feminism and being a lesbian and that men haven't done this, that, and the third, I don't know if she gave that type of energy in that situation, because there's a video out here and that when she got hit and she's screaming because there's a bunch of black men that are there when it happens, and she basically was like, y'all stand around and watch this man do this to me. What are y'all gonna do about it? And the men sit back like, what you want me to do about it? That's So
here's the funny thing. When you got hit with the brick, though, and she should not have gotten hit with the brick, what I'm saying is that when she got hit with the brick, were you spewing that whole feminism, men ain't ish, and da-da-da-da-da? So that's why the men were like, what you want us to do? You just told us we ain't nothing. So we watched you get hit with a brick, and you just got hit. Again, I don't think she should have gotten hit with the brick. I think women and men, if somebody is jawing off at you and talking smack to you, you have no right to hit them, and you have no right to call them a racial slur. That's white, black, Hispanic, Asian, none of that. Like, you just gotta either talk back or don't. But it's just interesting to me that these videos are coming out, but she clearly got hit with a brick. Like,
she clearly got hit with a brick, and I don't advocate for violence at all. I abhor violence, but I think part of my issue with this situation is that women, y'all got to stop acting like every man has self-control like I would have in that situation. If she ran her mouth to me, I'll be like, all right, let me be out. Now, if she'd got in my face and my wife is there, she might have, it'd have been, it wouldn't have been pretty. But I'm not gonna put my hands. I got a beautiful wife. I ain't got no but women. I've been raised by number women in my life. I got so much respect for women. Everybody ain't like me. Everybody ain't like a whole lot of brothers out here that if you run out and you run off at the mouth and y'all out in them streets and you partying and you've been drinking all night, you've been drinking, they've been drinking, and guys, women, y'all gotta understand that this internet stuff is one thing. When you behind these cameras, and these phones and all this stuff, you can run a whole lot of mouth and jump in them comments and say what you want to say. But if you face to face out in them streets, you better act accordingly and understand that you better have a plan besides just saying, I'm just gonna pop off and call this dude the N-word and you ain't ish and blah, 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 blah. Some of these cats are not gonna show that level of self-control. So hopefully she's healing up and she's okay. I think a lot of the video said she had a concussion, but sis, ladies, y'all got to chill out, man. This stuff is real out here in these streets. All right, before we go.
And men, really quick, if a girl talks bad about you, you don't like it, that doesn't mean you pick up a weapon and hit them in the face, man or female. That is not his word.
No, it's not okay. There's no doubt about that I agree with you that it's not okay what happened there. But sometimes just because it's okay does not mean that people are not going to respond the way they're going to respond. Before we get out of here, I don't know if you saw the story. Diddy has gifted back his artists their publishing rights, including Mace. Mace and Diddy had a big thing going on for a minute. They had an issue, and now he's gifted it back. It's not surprising it happened not long after Invest Fest, which was a couple weeks ago. And then also, he's got a new album coming out. And I've said this for the last 30 years. Anytime that Diddy does something, there's a marketing element or behind it.
Exactly. That's why I'm looking in the bottom of my wine glass for the BS that was coming at me at any point, because this is what he does. Diddy is the most non-genuine person to ever exist in the history of life. Indiana Jones, Archimedes, no, he's not a genuine person. Everything he does is got an angle to it.
He's a Trump level salesman. And I tell you, you can say what you want to say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is, as far as us knowing in modern history, is the best salesman of our era. Diddy is not far behind as far as levels of salesmanship, and so that's kind of where we are. So, but kudos to them, and kudos to Mace and some of those others for having the ability to get their bread. Let me see, Melbourne Moore just recently received a Hollywood Walk of Fame. What
Kevin,
took so
that's
long?
not how works, baby. What is stupid stuff. It's not. We don't. Yes, Miss Melba, it's great, it's wonderful, but what is just stupid stuff. It's never anything good, happy.
Noob, thank you for joining our audience today and for contributing to our conversation. We appreciate you.
One of them?
Yes, he's one of the greatest fraternities to ever. Yes, he is. Absolutely. He's
and
also
as a
West
former
Pointer.
Miss Diamond, I should be more respectful, but I'm sleepy, so maybe that's why I'm slipping on my game. But shout out to the noobs. Yay, Miss Diamond, 2003, 2004, Florida A&M University.
We appreciate y'all, man. Thank you, Booker T. Mattison, for coming in and giving us such a great education. Some of that conversation will be re-aired this week on my other podcast I host, Chamber Live, that's on for the Atlanta Black Chambers. We're going to share that with some of our community over there. And they'll be introduced to the super producer with that broadcast. So anyway, thanks so much. We'll holler at y'all. Enjoy your holidays. We'll see y'all soon. We in the fall. Football season right around the corner.